Good afternoon. By all means. I'm Dean Eric Schwartz. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, I am delighted to welcome you to today's commencement exercises. And before we begin, I want to thank our Assistant Dean, Stephanie Haddad, for seating all of the graduates, because 2 years ago, the graduates stayed standing for the first 10 minutes of the events until we all realized that somebody was supposed to go like this. So, Stephanie, thank you. I want to thank Regent Abdul Amari for presiding over the conferral of the degrees today. I also want to welcome Associate Vice President for Public Engagement, Andrew Furco. It is particularly appropriate that Andrew is with us, because what is the Humphrey School if not about public engagement? So, Andrew, thank you very much for being here. Regent Omari and Andrew Furco are great friends of the Humphrey School, who appreciate our institution's role as the university's public affairs portal to the broader community, and who provide us with great support and guidance. Now, some weeks ago at our Humphrey School student banquet, where the dean is expected to offer some funny remarks to the crowd, I noted that students with capstone projects and professional papers still to complete might be feeling anxious about graduation. And for those students, I quoted the famous New York Yankee catcher and poet of sorts, poet of malapropisms, that is, Yogi Berra, who said, and I quote, "It's tough to make predictions, especially about the future." But now, some weeks later, with you all about to receive your diploma, you and we can rest easy. You've completed the task. And to students who've struggled through core requirements like economics for policy analysis, financial management, regression, group work, and so much more, allow me to quote not Yogi Berra, but modern-day comedian and social commentator Jon Stewart, who really put it very well when he said, and I quote, "The unfortunate yet truly exciting thing about your life is that there is no core curriculum. The entire place is an elective. And the elective you will be choosing, whatever that might be, is frankly an elevated one. Whether you ultimately aspire to be a state legislator, a city planner, a program evaluator, a congressperson, a community organizer, an activist of another kind, or even Secretary of State, U.S. AID administrator, or President of the United States, you all are united in your objective of engagement in a profession where your principal task, in one way or another, is no less ambitious than making the world a better place. And what a noble ambition, which you honor by the degree you receive today, a degree that will help give you the tools to promote the common good in our increasingly diverse world. In other words, the tools to translate your instincts and your inclinations about doing good in the world into the business of accomplishing those objectives effectively. This is also a special graduation day for me, as a number of you are actually students whom I've had the honor to teach after 3 years learning the ropes as dean of the Humphrey School, which is not to suggest that I've actually learned the ropes. I was delighted to be in the classroom as a teacher this past fall, where I had the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity, to work with a group of extraordinary young people as we explored the challenges of addressing the many crises and conflicts around the globe. And I left that experience even more confident that as daunting as the problems we confront may be, the students from the Humphrey School have the commitment, the wisdom, the judgment, and the skills to make the world a safer and more secure place. Shortly after our graduation, I will leave to attend, not the Humphrey School, I will leave Minnesota to attend the graduation of my eldest daughter, and to the parents, and I suspect there are more than a few here, who are here today, let me acknowledge that I appreciate how foolish it is to take too much credit for your children's successes or too much responsibility for the challenges and occasional failures they might experience. But all of the parents, grandparents, friends, uncles, aunts who are here today can take great pride in the simple fact that your daughter, your son, your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, your friend, your companion is equipping herself or himself for a career in service to others. So now it's time to begin our program. And I will present several academic awards. Some of the awards are for group projects, and because we would like to be able to hear the names of all of the winners, please hold your applause until after I've recognized the recipient or the recipients of an award. The first paper award today is the Lloyd B. Short Award for the best master's paper. The winning paper is selected on the basis of the importance of the issue and the quality of the analysis and the writing. This year's winner is Matthew Prorock for his paper Matthew's paper was, and I quote, "Plugged in, understanding drivers of greenhouse gas emissions from electric vehicle charging in Minnesota." He completed a careful and thorough analysis of energy life cycle effects and energy practices used in understanding the implications of electric vehicle usage. And he successfully adapted methods developed for analyzing the life cycle effects of fuels to climate circumstances in Minnesota. His work challenged conventional wisdom by demonstrating that if you look at actual energy production rather than assumptions about energy, electric vehicles in Minnesota may not be as polluting as gasoline vehicles in terms of carbon dioxide emissions. Matthew offers important policy recommendations derived directly from his analysis. For your scholarly accomplishment, Matthew, please stand and be recognized. The Robert C. Einsweiler Award is given for the best paper or project in planning that demonstrates intellectual insight and creativity in consideration of the political environment. Attention to the political environment includes consideration of the competing interests, values, and perspectives inherent in planning, decision-making. Insight and creativity relative to these issues might reveal innovation in plans, policies, processes, engagement, communication, and other planning activities. We have two group recipients this year. First, we are honored to present the award to Ashley Fell, Katrina Nagard, Aaron Olson, and Andrew Tron for their project in partnership with the Cleveland Neighborhood Association in North Minneapolis. The students helped to create a unified community vision and tools for the community to advocate for the development they want to see along the Penn Avenue and Lowry Avenue corridors. Congratulations to you all. Please stand and be recognized. Second, we are also honored to present the award to Ashley Fell, Michael Healy, Aaron Olson, John Pierce, and Layla Tripp for their report that provides recommendations to local affordable housing developer Project for Pride in Living for moving forward as a convening entity to implement a unique neighborhood development project in the Railroad Island neighborhood on the east side of St. Paul. Congratulations to all. Please stand and be recognized. The Master of Public Affairs Paper Award is given for the best paper by an MPA student for a team including an MPA student. These are our mid-career students who juggle a broad range of responsibilities in addition to their coursework. The recipient of this year's MPA Individual Award is Kim Stone for her deep reflection and application of course learning through her paper entitled Leadership Lessons Through Educating and Informing Citizenry, about the Gogabik, I hope I pronounced it correctly, taconite mine of northern Wisconsin. During the course of her project, Kim found a stronger voice and recognized expanded leadership capacity in advancing the common good in her community. Congratulations, Kim. This year's Master of Public Affairs Group Paper Award is given to a team of mid-career professionals who conducted extensive research and analysis in formulating recommendations for enhancing public-private nonprofit collaboration in better serving the needs of Minnesota's citizens with disabilities. They worked closely with the Olmsted Implementation Office, which operates in support of Governor Dayton's Olmsted Subcabinet to make the promise of better service become a reality. The findings of this capstone team were presented in late April and well received by the leaders of multiple Minnesota departments for their paper entitled Engaging Communities in Public-Private Partnerships to Advance Olmsted Plan Implementation in Minnesota. Congratulations to capstone team members Peter Baya-Waltis, Julie Kohler, Sarah Bakken-Lee, Kimberly Owens, Susan Prosser, and Brianna Wheeler. Please stand to be recognized. Established in 2011, the Diversity Paper Award is given annually to a graduating student or students who demonstrate the highest level of excellence in a professional or capstone paper on a topic related to public policy issues affecting diverse populations in the United States or globally. The paper should address diversity with respect to populations that have been marginalized because of their ethnicity, their race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or another characteristic. The Diversity Award is given this year to Andrew Tron for his paper, Children of Hmong Immigrants, a study of Hmong second-generation immigrants, adaptation in the Twin Cities. The committee was impressed by Andrew's thoughtful use of mixed methods and illuminating policy discussion of a timely and important diversity issue, namely the inclusion of Hmong community members in the broader Twin Cities communities. Andrew carefully compares how growing up within and outside of an ethnic enclave affects Hmong's sense of identity and propensity to become civically engaged. Andrew, please stand and be recognized. A new award this year, the Hubert Project Award, is given to students who excel at communicating public policy, urban planning, and management topics by way of a multimedia project. We have two groups of recipients. The first award goes to Vivek Bhandari Satish Ayaraman, I'm sorry, Satish, Charlotte Woods, and Maria McClintock. Their work, entitled Mythbuster, Investigating Myths About Smart Meters, a precursor to a sustainable smart grid, was chosen for its strong, clear message, novel approach, and creative use of graphics and narration. Congratulations on your well-deserved award. Please stand. Oh, they're not here. Our second group of Hubert Project Award winners are Suk Jinong, Ryan Earp, and Heather Dukshire for their project entitled The Emergency Food Assistance Program Multi-Level Implementation Analysis E-Study. This E-case beautifully brings to life a complex multi-level analysis of a social program and takes an in-depth look at the details of implementation that impact the low-income people and overall quality from beginning to finish. Would those members with us today please stand to be recognized? In addition to providing excellent professional education and professional training, the Humphrey School prides itself on developing and honing leadership skills and encouraging good citizenship and service to the community. Each year, committees made up of students, faculty members, and alumni are challenged to select just a few student leaders for special recognition in these areas. The Student Leadership Award is simply and aptly named and is decided upon by the students themselves. Their choice this year, not a surprise, George Shardlow. In nominating George, his fellow students said that he demonstrates a strong commitment to academic excellence, thoughtful dialogue, moral character, and care for his fellow students and the institution itself. As president of the Public Affairs Student Association, George has advocated on behalf of students, limited the number of emails flooding their inboxes, and fought against people taking other people's lunches. He's done a heck of a lot more than that. He has I'm just reading what's in front of me. He has established great rapport with faculty and students. He leads quietly and significantly. Often his contributions to the school community were behind the scenes, but no doubt they were felt by all. Congratulations, George, and we're going to let you stand again. The Jernberg Award for Student Life was created to recognize Professor Emeritus Jim Jernberg, whose work and contributions to the Humphrey School have helped to sustain and strengthen this institution enormously over the past many years. This year's award recipient is Peter Schmidt. Peter worked incredibly hard, even during his dual degree year, to bring together all members of the Humphrey community. He not only proposed a variety of inclusive activities, but dedicated himself to attending a majority of them and involving as many students as possible. Many of us at the Humphrey School pride ourselves on having a tight-knit community, something that can be essential during tough times of graduate school. Peter helped ensure the strength of our Humphrey community over the past 2 years. Peter, congratulations on your well-deserved recognition. Peter, where are you? Okay. The Freeman Stassen Award for International Activities was established to challenge Humphrey School students to excel in exploring and confronting global issues. These activities can fall into several categories: innovation that helps strengthen the school's global policy program, a professional paper or course paper that addresses a global issue, or engagement in field work as part of a degree program. Activity is judged on creativity, academic rigor, and the contribution to policy design implementation. And this year we have an individual and a group recipient. Our individual winner is Shen Shiwan for her professional paper entitled A System with Two Faces, a case study of Chinese bureaucracy. The selection committee was deeply impressed by the work and considered it one of the most ambitious professional papers. Shen's theory of Chinese bureaucracy identifies the multiple roles various offices play in, quote, putting out fires and insulating the central Chinese bureaucracy from turmoil. Her findings imply that a major shift in human rights policy needs to occur in order to protect petitioners from harm. Congratulations, Shen. Please stand. Well, okay. The second recipient of the Freeman Stassen Award is presented to a global policy capstone team consisting of Nate Haugen, Randika Demel, Angelica Getahun, and Violeta Hernandez Espinoza, and Iloila Tan. Their project for the Ateneo de Manila University Office of Social Concern and Involvement in Manila was ambitious in size and scope. The students crafted an evaluation plan for the university's service learning program, which will help the staff develop their programs and projects, report the impact of its work, and improve the lives of both their students and the associated communities. Would the team members with us today please stand and be recognized? The American Institute of Certified Planners Award is given to an outstanding planning student. This year we have two award winners. The first is Katrina Nagard. Katrina displays a curiosity and a passion for cities and urban life that is inspiring. Whether participating in an urban planning project in Duluth or engaging in research on watersheds in Minneapolis, Katrina brings a keen intellect, an impressive work ethic, and a strong social justice orientation to all of her work and studies. Congratulations, Katrina. Please stand and be recognized. Our second American Institute of Certified Planners Award winner is Erin Olson. Through her combined studies in urban planning and public health, Erin has a unique ability to work in an interdisciplinary fashion in a transnational context, equally at ease working on housing and community development projects in St. Paul, or working on the use of public parks in Mozambique. The global perspective that Erin brings to her work has positioned her to make important contributions to the field of urban planning. Congratulations, Erin, and please stand and be recognized. The Lukerman Award honors Senior Fellow Emerita Barbara Lukerman, who passed away in 2009. It is given to an outstanding planning student who exhibits exceptional service. This year's award is presented to Alyssa Chiumento. Alyssa has been an important catalyst for connecting the urban and regional planning program to the field of planning practice through her involvement with the Planning Student Organization and a variety of community-based planning projects that she worked on during her time at the Humphrey School. She brings an infectious enthusiasm and positive attitude to her work that has benefited her peers, the Humphrey School, and the field of urban planning in the Twin Cities. Congratulations, Alyssa. Each year, to honor the memory of Gary DeCrema, who directed the Master of Public Affairs program from 2002 to 2012 and co-founded the MPA cohort model, the Humphrey School honors a graduating MPA student, a Public Affairs Leadership Certificate student, or an international fellow who has demonstrated exemplary leadership with the Gary M. DeCramer Public Leadership Award. And this year's winner is Heidi Romunish. Heidi completed the Public Affairs Leadership Certificate program as a member of the MPA cohort. Her life and life's work have been entwined in service to advancing the common good. She has an authentic personality with a compassion for the suffering of others. She delights in diversity, as demonstrated in her founding of a weekly learning program for youth in Costa Rica. She has been an advocate for battered women, a political lobbyist, and campaign manager, and continues to serve her local community as a Latino organizer in the Lindale Neighborhood Association. Like Gary, she has an appreciation for sacred spaces. Congratulations, Heidi. Please stand and be recognized. The Edward A. Burdick Legislative Award recognizes a consummate public servant, a 60-year employee of the Minnesota House of Representatives. This was Edward Burdick. The award recognizes a student's exceptional work that exemplifies bipartisanship or the forging of bipartisan relationships in public policy or in legislation in Minnesota. This year's Burdick Legislative Award is presented to Danielle Winner. Danielle is dedicated to the best interests of Minnesota public policy and shows her dedication with grace and thoughtful actions. She is balanced in her philosophy. She understands public choices and importantly recognizes the consequences of those choices. She is the kind of person who would make the late Mr. Burdick smile with approval. The two of them would have worked very well together. Congratulations, Danielle. The class of 1999 Paul and Sheila Wellstone Award for Public Action and Academic Excellence memorializes two great public servants. The entering class of 1999 created this award to recognize a Humphrey School student whose dedication and service to progressive ideals and work towards social justice suggest a career path that emulates the core values of the Wellstones. This year's recipient is Chu Mua. The selection committee was greatly impressed with his history of service to and advocacy on behalf of underrepresented communities, specifically for his work with the Service Employees International Union and the United Home Care Workers Minnesota. As the only Hmong member in the leadership of both groups, Chu helped to lead grassroots organizing efforts and advocated for the improvement of care for people with disabilities. As Chu noted in his application, and I quote, "I believe that as a son and as a member of the community, it is my responsibility to engage others to advocate for those who are unable to." Chu, please stand up again and be recognized. The Arthur Naftalin Award for Public Service was created to honor the late Professor Art Naftalin and former Minneapolis mayor for his great dedication to community involvement and participatory governance. This year's recipient of the Naftalin Award is Nair Beaton. As the former president of the Humphrey School's International Student Association, a representative of the Humphrey School in the University Student Senate, and a legislative intern for Governor Dayton, Nair has been involved at not only a Humphrey School level, but at a broader community level, which shows that he is committed to building the environment that he occupies. Please stand and accept our congratulations. The final award in this portion of our program is the David Lucas Travel Grant, which supports Humphrey students planning to undertake an internship, field work, or other school-related project abroad with a preference toward Latin America. In the fall of 2013, David Lucas was a first-year Master of Public Policy student studying global policy. In the short time David was with us at the Humphrey School, his new friends and colleagues benefited from his rich life and experience with his intellectual rigor, and our community was deeply saddened by his untimely death. David, who succumbed to a devastating depression, not only loved traveling and working overseas, but believed in working and learning internationally, both to expand awareness and to perform public service. The fund was made possible by a thoughtful and generous gift from the Lucas family, and we welcome Val, Ron, Anna, and Carlos, the Lucas family, who are with us today. And it will enhance the opportunity for students to work in an environment about which David felt passionately. The recipient of the inaugural David Lucas Travel Grant is Trupti Sarodi. This award will help fund her summer field experience project in St. Lucia in partnership with the organization Global Volunteers. The project will focus on assessing the impact of short-term volunteers in early childhood development. Congratulations, Trupti, and thank you once again to the Lucas family. Now we talk about, before I introduce our student speaker, we talk about whether, this listing of all of these awards and honors, kind of causes the program to go on a little bit too long. But I think I'm an advocate for this part of the program, because I really think it's important that parents, friends, partners, loved ones understand the breadth and the depth and the quality and the diversity of the work that goes on at the Humphrey School and for which our students are responsible. So let's give them a big hand. So I want to introduce our student speaker today, George Shardlow. Before coming to the Humphrey School, George was a community organizer, first with an economic development nonprofit in Baltimore, and then with the 2012 Obama campaign in the suburbs of St. Paul. George grew up in St. Paul before attending Luther College in Iowa. During his time at the Humphrey School, George interned with the Office of State Senator Ann Rest, and later the Minnesota State Council on Disability. He now hopes to work on helping marginalized groups get access to credit. Please join me in welcoming this year's student speaker, George Shardlow.
That's all right. I thought that was for
Not for the
all
speaker.
right. I'm the one guy who gets the hug, so just so you know. Thank you, Dean, for that warm introduction. Friends, family, faculty, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. Thank you for the support that you have given my colleagues and I. Special thanks go out to the partners in the audience, husbands, wives, boyfriends, and girlfriends. Thank you for letting us borrow your loved one. I can officially say you can have them back now. And I mean, don't get us wrong, they're lovely, but believe us when we say that we're just as happy as you are that they'll be spending next weekend with you rather than trapped in the basement of Humphrey working on a PowerPoint presentation with us. Before I begin, I want to share some information about our class gift. We managed to raise $1,016, exceeding our goal of $1,000. Right? It counts. Hey, no, that's exceeding. Not bad for a bunch of ramen-eating grad students. I was talking to the husband of a Humphrey student, and he was saying how a boyfriend of another student had said to him, "Yeah, Humphrey people have the most depressing conversations." So to partners who've been dragged to happy hours and house parties and forced to endure our depressing conversations, I have good news. I have tried to write a happy, optimistic speech. Right. Emphasis on tried. There are no guarantees here. Throughout my time at the Humphrey School, speakers came through to talk about gridlock and dysfunction in Washington. Those accounts have always been paired with a nostalgic homage to the bipartisanship of Hubert Humphrey and his colleagues. I heard these accounts so many times that I grew numb to them. Then one day I was walking out of one such talk with a female friend, and she said, "I'm so sick of hearing old white men talk about how great everything was when the world was run exclusively by old white men." Her comment woke me up. Indeed, why did Hubert Humphrey go to Washington in the first place? It's because while he and Strom Thurmond were helping each other get quorum, the teeth of police dogs were digging into the calves of African Americans peacefully requesting the right to vote. Our politics weren't less partisan, we were just better at shutting people out of the process. Even today, the US Senate has 20 female members. Thank God, we can say that we are adequately representing the 20% of the American population that are women. Look, we had gridlock before Citizens United. We had partisanship before cable news. The ugliness began when those in the halls of power had to start reconciling their positions with those of individuals with fundamentally different epistemologies. They've done research on diversity. There are economists who will tell you that countries that are more ethnically diverse have more conflict, lower productivity, and lower growth. But they've also done studies on project teams and shown that diverse groups produce better results. They're uncomfortable, they entail some conflict, but in the end, members of those groups expose each other to new ways of thinking. In the end, everybody's better off. And we can try to go back and say, oh, I wasn't being nostalgic for the racism or the sexism, but I think we need to ponder the possibility that some of that bipartisanship was made possible by the homogeneity of those occupying the halls of power. It matters. It matters how we tell our histories. So our task is not to go back. Our task is to create something new. I think there are internal impediments to that. I think there are external impediments, and I think there's reason for hope. First, we need to consider the internal impediments. Speaking for myself, the thought of creating something new is really intimidating. I think the Humphrey School tries to balance the need for critical analysis and the need for building concrete, productive skills. However, my heart goes out to the faculty because this program sort of self-selects for the rabble-rousers and gadflies. Half of us got impatient because we came to the Humphrey School to get concrete skills, and we were forced to sit through critical theoretical conversations. The other half was frustrated and felt we weren't nearly critical enough. But let's be fair. If we hadn't had those critical conversations, right now we'd just be preparing to go out and replicate systems that hurt people, hurt the most vulnerable here in this country and around the world. And for those of us who craved those critical conversations, that's great. But now we need to go create something. Just speaking personally, I get self-conscious about the capacities I've cultivated within myself. And I worry that my capacity to critique outpaces my capacity to create. If I could go back and change anything about my conduct at the Humphrey School, I would self-impose a policy and say for the last 15 to 20 minutes of every class, I would only raise my hand if I were doing so to propose a solution. Lately, I've started finding great joy in surrounding myself with artists, musicians, landscape architects, creative people. I've found that they're not naive. They're aware of what's broken with this world, but they still find enough hope to plant trees, enough courage to create something new without knowing if it'll work, and enough love for the world in spite of its brokenness to believe that it still deserves beautiful things. Now, there are external impediments as well. We see a nation that in truth has gone from being segregated by race to one that is segregated by race and class and partisan ideology. So when we see images of these kids in Baltimore protesting police brutality, and we say, how can they act this way? In reality, what we're saying is the same thing we were saying the entire time. They were trapped in failing schools, deteriorating neighborhoods, getting beat up by the cops. We are saying, that's not my kid. And why not say that? None of these kids look like the kids who live in our neighborhood. They don't look like the kids who go to our school, our churches, our synagogues. And I could make a moral appeal here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say objectively that I don't understand what we're doing as a country. I don't see where we think we're going if we just keep digging moats around our balkanized little enclaves. I don't see how we close the skills gap in our workforce without changing our attitudes, preparing kids of color to be professionals rather than just prisoners. In the words of Hubert Humphrey, never give up on anybody. Instead, we see white middle-class families in eastern Baton Rouge trying to form a new city just so they don't have to send their kids to integrated schools. I can't help but wonder what is so appealing to them about sitting on the nicest deck chair on the Titanic. The gridlock in Washington? That's just our reflection in the mirror. Now, I've got you real depressed, which is what I said I wasn't going to do, right? So now I'm going to share my reason for hope. My reason for hope is my deep and abiding respect and admiration for my peers. If ever there was a cohort of passionate and driven advocates suited for the task of creating that power structure that actually represents this country, capable of articulating the need to see those kids in Baltimore as our kids, it's the one sitting before me now. So, we're going to go out and create those power structures. I don't really know how, but we're just going to start doing it. We're going to be critical, but just so we can fix what's broken. We're not pundits. We're the keepers of the hearth fires of hope. Thank you. Let's get to work.
I don't know really what to say after remarks like that. What a remarkable and elevated speech. 10 years. "20 years from now, people will say, 'Where were you when George Chardlow gave that speech?'" Thank you, George, from the bottom of our hearts, for such a magnificent expression of analysis and hope. We're deeply grateful. And for the parents, and George is special, but so are 160, 170 others sitting right in front. So thank you for a wonderful speech. Tough act to follow, Brian. So our next speaker, I first should say that our next speaker, a dear friend of all of ours and a dear friend of mine, Brian will come to the podium with a speech written, and he will be reading his speech. The rest of us, you may see, have been using teleprompters, and I'm told that Brian's remark when asked whether he wanted to use a teleprompter was, "No, that's for presidents and for deans." So. But it is indeed my pleasure, my joy, to introduce our commencement speaker, my predecessor and my friend, Brian Atwood, who will become Professor Emeritus shortly after graduation, when he and his family will move back to what we Minnesotans refer to as the East. Someday I'll be able to say that credibly, we Minnesotans. When he takes up, Brian will take up a position as a senior fellow at Brown University. Brian served here as dean from October 2002 through 2010. And he played a critical role, a critical leadership role, in enhancing the reputation and the profile of this institution, as well as, and probably more importantly, as well as enhancing the quality of our culture. He led with wisdom and integrity, and at the same time, and subsequent to his return to the school as professor in January 2013, taught valuable, popular, and important courses on diplomacy and U.S. foreign policy. Brian has had a long and distinguished career in international affairs, in foreign policy, in development, serving as Assistant Secretary of State for Congressional Relations during the Carter administration, as the first president of the National Democratic Institute for International Relations, serving as Undersecretary for Management at the beginning of the Clinton administration, and then administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development. And most recently, he served as chair of the Development Assistance Committee of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development after he completed his deanship in 2010. Now, Brian and I met when he led then Governor and President-elect Bill Clinton's State Department transition team in 1992 and 1993, and I served as one of the team members. We subsequently worked as colleagues in the Clinton administration, and I am proud and honored to call Brian a mentor whose wisdom and integrity, his consistency of character, has served as an inspiration for me and for many others. Whether he was arguing for a more generous U.S. policy on Haitian boat people, for U.S. responses and rescue of Kurds in Iraq, or the preservation of the independence of the U.S. Agency for International Development through his tenure as head of that agency. I feel very fortunate to have viewed firsthand Brian's commitment to the principle that government officials have profound responsibilities to be guided by the dictates of conscience, even when that means being in a distinct minority and doing battle with colleagues and superiors. So frankly, it's with mixed feelings that I offer these introductory remarks. I am frankly sad that Brian's talk will serve as a valedictory, a farewell of sorts, of an individual whose absence will be keenly felt. On the other hand, and I think my colleagues, faculty and students, are excited to hear what our good friend Brian will have to say to you all. And our sadness at his departure is tempered by the knowledge that we will see to it that Brian Atwood, as Professor Emeritus, remains very closely connected to the Humphrey School. So with that, it is my distinct pleasure to ask Brian Atwood to address the class of 2015.
Thank you very, very much for that very generous and exaggerated introduction. I think it's a reflection of the friendship that we have. I don't know where George went, but is he there somewhere in the audience? He's back there. George, you were great, and it is a difficult act to follow, and some people, after they hear my remarks, may think that we coordinated our comments, but we did not, right? First, I should go through the protocol and thank the people that are here: Dean Schwartz, Regent Omari, Associate Dean Bloomberg, Vice President Furco, my faculty colleagues and graduating students, family, and friends. It's really an honor to be asked to speak to you today, and I want to thank Dean Schwartz once again for asking me to do this as my final act at the mine, Abdul Omari, now Dr. Omari. Now you think about this. 5 years ago, he was sitting where you're sitting. Today, he's got a PhD degree, and he's a member of the Board of Regents. So there's hope. Now, deans often attract more blame than credit. I can attest to that from personal experience. So today, I want to thank Dean Eric Schwartz for his leadership. The Humphrey School faculty and student body is today more diverse and more international than it was 3 years ago. And there's more scholarship support for students, and the faculty is more productive than ever. So Eric, you've taken a strong institution and you've made it stronger, and we all thank you for that. The graduates, I recognize that I'm all that stands between you and your diploma. So I'll try to be brief, but I want to say something you will remember, so I'll try to provoke you to keep you awake. The Humphrey School has been your home for the past few years, and it's been a comfortable place, an academic institution with a warm community spirit, and you've helped create that feeling. That was most evident at your banquet. I gather I left before the fun began. And the Humphrey spirit was even more evident last year when we lost one of our own. David Lucas was your classmate and friend, and he was also my student, my research assistant, and my friend. None of us knew the pain he was living with, and those of us who were closest to him had a hard time forgiving ourselves for not knowing. We wonder whether we could have done more to help. David touched our lives in a very special way. In our minds, he will always be young, irrepressible, and full of life. He would have been pleased to know that he brought this class together around a commitment to understand better the disease that took him from us. David's parents, who are with us today, should know that David is still with this class in spirit. Now, I've had the opportunity to talk to many of you about the next phase of your life. I understand the anxiety that this produces. You've been studying in a professional school, preparing for a career in public service. The faculty has exposed you to the theory and the practice of public and nonprofit management, planning, economics, politics, and policy making. You may now surmise that your future is going to be one massive group project. And by now you've heard many shop-worn pieces of advice. You need to network, take an unpaid internship, pound the streets, make your resume speak for you. You understand that your new degree is essential to open doors, but it isn't a guarantee of immediate success. How then do you cope with all of this uncertainty? How do you gain perspective in the competitive world you're about to enter? My first recommendation is that you fully appreciate what you have that others do not. You came to this school because you have a desire to serve the public. There are a variety of ways to do this. You can be in local, state, or federal government. You can work in academia, nonprofit organizations, politics, even the private sector, if you can find a way to do good while doing well. Character and integrity. The best of these, he said, pursued a vocation, not a career. A vocation, he writes, is a calling, not a job. It's a passion to contribute to something bigger than oneself. Now, in this regard, you're fortunate because your calling is public service. The degree you will receive today certifies that you are prepared for that calling. And I expect you to do a better job of that than did my generation. Thank you, George, for pointing that out. Those of us who are entering the last phases of our vocation are looking to you for leadership on a number of issues. Now, some of you have asked me about my career, and I suspect that you were trying to discern a pattern. Well, there is none. My resume looks like somebody who couldn't hold a job. And it was certainly more a calling than a career. And it led to several forks in the road, and invariably I took them. Thank you, Yogi Berra, for that statement. The only piece of advice I can give is to do the best you possibly can wherever you are. And don't worry about the next step on the ladder. That will take care of itself. I've run into so many people who have only worried about that next step and have failed to do the good job that they could where they were. Try to work with and learn from people you respect and understand the role that institutions play in society. In my work around the world, I came to recognize that healthy institutions reinforced and amplified the impact of talented individuals. Weak institutions were a sign of decaying societies, fragility, and underdevelopment. Even in established nations like the United States, institutions require constant reform and reinvention. So be a builder. As Jean Monnet, the father of European unity, once said, "Nothing changes without individuals, nothing lasts without institutions." I was blessed to have worked with some genuinely historic figures. The best of them are reflections of leadership, courage, character, and integrity. People like Senator Tom Eagleton, Secretary of State Cyrus Vance, Vice President Walter Mondale. And I could mention other names, but I've been accused of dropping names before. But these three people were special. They epitomized public service, character, and integrity. And as I reflect on my years at the Humphrey School, I think about the changes that have occurred in this society and the world. The sweep of history we have experienced over the past decade is literally staggering. Change has happened so rapidly we may not yet have had a chance to absorb it fully. The changes aren't all positive, but they have reconfigured our society and our policy and political calculations. Let me say at the outset that in recounting these changes, I'll do something I don't normally do in the classroom. I'm going to go beyond raising questions. I'm going to express my personal views, and that's the prerogative of a commencement speaker who has one foot out the door. So what's the standard disclaimer? The views you're about to hear are those of the speaker, not the University of Minnesota or the Humphrey School. Issue number 1, race in America. In 2008, the United States elected an African-American president. That deeply impressed most of the world, and it made me very proud of my country. A few pundits suggested that we had entered a post-racial era. How wrong they were. Never has the study of race in America been more important, and the Humphrey School, and especially its Wilkins Chair, are in the forefront in studying the many related issues. In recent incidents of police brutality in Ferguson, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Madison, Charleston, and Baltimore may not have been surprising to African Americans, but they have forced the entire nation to come to grips once again with some of the worst aspects of racism. And let us hope that this will be a teaching moment. Issue number 2. About 5 years ago, I was visited by a group of LGBT students who asked the dean to place the Humphrey School on record against a pending constitutional amendment in Minnesota stating that marriage was exclusively between a man and a woman. I told the group that a public institution couldn't take a position, but that I would personally go on record opposing the amendment. So I did, in an editorial in the Star Tribune. I argued that we had to be respectful of religious views, but that the state must treat all people equally. Now look where that issue has come in 5 short years. It should give you some optimism about what you can do to change policy. Now, Minnesota is now one of 37 states that recognize gay marriage, and hopefully the entire country will soon accept this for the human rights issue it is. There's an important lesson here as well. Though the Declaration of Independence was written by a slaveholder, it contained a compelling aspiration that all are created equal. It has encouraged this country over the years to keep reaching for the higher standard of equality. We're not there yet, but the fight for the rights of gays, lesbians, and transgender Americans is the latest indication that this country strives for fairness. Issue 3. In 2008, the Supreme Court reversed decades of settled law to decide that the Second Amendment means that an individual has a constitutional right to own a gun, and that states and local governments cannot abridge that right. That decision threw out many gun control laws and opened the gates for even more weapons in our already heavily armed society, weapons that were made for war, not sport. We have seen children cut down by automatic weapons in Sandy Hook, and a massacre in a movie theater in Colorado, and countless other shooting incidents involving weapons of war. Yet we can't even get the votes in Congress to improve and extend registration laws, or to limit the number of rounds of ammunition in these weapons. It shouldn't be surprising that the number of gun deaths has increased exponentially. Unfortunately, we lead the world in that category. In 2012, for example, Japan had exactly 4 gun deaths the entire year. The United States averaged 24 a day. Now, this is a health epidemic of major proportions. Do we have to wait for another mass shooting to do something about it? Issue 4, prior to 2010, the United States had some 40 million citizens who had no health insurance. and extended illness could have forced a family into bankruptcy. Now, today, the Affordable Care Act covers most of them. And this isn't socialism. It's a market-based private insurance system with Medicaid support for the poorest. And let us hope that the politics of health care will lead us to improving the system and reducing costs rather than turning the clock back. Issue 5, in early 2010, the Supreme Court decided yet again that spending money on elections is freedom of speech. This time, its Citizens United decision opened the floodgates and virtually eliminated all limits. Super PACs are now dominating the electoral landscape. Special interest money is flooding Washington, and the ship of state is listing. Graduates, if you want to reform the way Washington works, take the money out of politics. Citizens should not have to pay for access to their elected representatives, and those elected officials should spend their time legislating and overseeing government, not raising money. This reform may now require a constitutional amendment, but we have to start somewhere. Issue 6, under pressure from industry lobbyists, Congress failed to pass a cap-and-trade law that would have restricted carbon emissions and begun to limit dangerous greenhouse gases. The President has taken action by executive order, but climate deniers and special interests want to challenge his decisions in court. Special interests want to keep the Environmental Protection Agency from regulating greenhouse gases. Meanwhile, weather-related disasters are on the increase and tides are rising. How many tornadoes, droughts, and natural disasters will we have to endure before we accept the reality of our condition? Issue 7, the death penalty is seen by most of the civilized world as cruel and unusual. Only the United States and Belarus still have the death penalty of the 57 members of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. The recent example of a sentence given to the Boston Marathon bomber underscores both the moral and the practical problem. There is no question that what young Tsarnaev did was horrendous. The question is whether killing him will deter terrorism or encourage more of it. If the death penalty doesn't act as a deterrent, then I would suggest that it may not be moral. But we can disagree on the morality issue. Practically speaking, why would we want this kid to be a martyr? Can you imagine what Al-Qaeda and ISIS would make of the U.S. executing this guy? Finally, issue 7. On the global level, there's an ongoing battle for the heart and soul of the international community. A few regionally powerful nations are attempting to drive the international system backwards in the direction of unchallenged sovereignty and non-intervention in their internal affairs. A new authoritarian model is being promoted that encourages nationalism, exclusion, and heavily controlled dissent. Its main purpose seems to be to keep corrupt practices and human rights abuses from the prying eyes of outsiders. Those who advocate for this model are rationalizing their approach by pointing to the contradictions between the high-minded values the United States promotes internationally and the realities on our streets. We stand for democracy and human rights for others, but if we fail at home to live up to our own ideals, the contradictions will further undermine a fragile international system. Be assured that the world needs the credible voice and influence of the United States. The global institutions created after World War II are overwhelmed. When the United Nations was created in 1945, the world population was 2.5 billion people. Today it is 7.2 billion and may grow to 9 billion by the year 2050. Is it any wonder that we have more refugees, more hunger, more disasters, more conflict, and more terrorists? Is it any wonder that the carrying capacity of our globe is under threat? Now, you will leave here today with a piece of paper that says that you possess the analytical skills to comprehend complex problems. You've been taught to comprehend nuance, to use quantitative and qualitative methods to analyze a problem, and to recognize scientific fact. You need not agree with the opinions that I have expressed here today. No doubt, if you don't agree, you'll be prepared to marshal your evidence, argue your position, and propose your policy solutions. And you have earned the standing to have your point of view taken seriously. You're part of a very privileged few who possess a graduate education. You have demonstrated a capacity to live a life of the mind. That is the ultimate privilege of an educated person. Combine that with your public service calling, and you can conquer difficult public policy challenges. So get out there and change the world. Finally, I want to thank all of you for inspiring me. And I want to thank the University of Minnesota and the Humphrey School for giving me the opportunity to serve you, our students, and the community. It's been a wonderful run for me and for my family, and this is the end. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian, for your compelling remarks. I think we all share the view that the world will be better served if, when you head out east, your engagement in public life and the critical public decisions that will impact all of us will continue. And for those of you who are expecting lighthearted student remarks and a lighthearted commencement address, we're sorry to disappoint. Humphrey students and faculty perhaps they don't and they shouldn't take themselves too seriously, but they take the issues in which we are all engaged quite seriously. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, George. By all means. Okay. I think that's about it, right? Oh, sorry. Now we come to what probably is the most anticipated part of the program. We will welcome a new class of graduates. Our graduates will be presented by the Director of Graduate Studies for their particular degree program, who are all noted in your program. Would Professor Raghi Assad please step to the podium to present our candidates for the Master of Development Practice?
Afia Adabo. Megan Butler. Randika Demel. Eliel Gebru. Angelica Getahun. Israel Gebreamlak. Violeta Hernandez Espinoza. Megan Hume. Bior Keach. Chu Mua. Shruti Saxena. Congratulations to all.
And these are the candidates for the Masters of Public Affairs. Puneet Agarwal. Sarah Bakken Lee. Karen Berg. Laura Busion. Jeanette Davis. Kelly DeBrine. Melissa Edlund. Nathan Haugen. Rosamar Jermstead. Anthony Kelly. Sandeep Mishra. Kayvon Nickrod. Tracy Nordstrom. Susan Prosser. Adam Schiff. Aaron Shills. Nicholas Schmidt. Rajesh Sharma. Andrea Simonette. Zerahun Sayam. Javiera Trancaso. Christine Weber Carl. Matthew Webke. And for the Public Affairs Leadership Certificate, Heidi Romanish.
I want to thank Kevin Gertis, who's the director of our MPA program. And now I want to ask our Associate Dean, Laura Bloomberg, to come to the podium for the conferral of the MPP degrees.
These are the candidates for the degree of Masters of Public Policy. Kasira Absar. Thomas Anderson. Chelsea Auerberry. Aquia Usari. Galen Osbel. Richard Barta. Peter Bayerwaltes. Naur Bitan. Rebecca Blumenschein. Gerardo Bonilla. Meredith Cavan. Heather Duxer. Laura Durden. Ryan Earp. Rebecca Faircloth. Jamie Fitzke. Leah Ghosh. Liz Harns. Zoe Hartzell. Owen Hawkins. Maren Henderson. Thor Hong. Megan Johnson. Samuel Johnson. Catherine Kasanich. Angelica Klebish. Sean Kramer. Amanda Lee. David Lemon. Claire Leslie Johnson. Paul Linnell. Mariko Long. Carly Likes Frostman. Elizabeth McNamara. Carly Minster. Alex Nelson. Patarampong Niyomchat. Kathleen O'Donnell. Mary Oldham. Sean O'Neill. Kimberly Owens. Kimberly's name was inadvertently omitted from the program, and for that we are sincerely sorry. Leah Pfeiffer. Peter Polga Hekminovich. Imovich. I'm so Peter. Jennifer Sanchez. Bryn Saunders. George Shardlow. Rosina Shretha. Margaret Soley. Eloila Tan. Lovell Trahan. Lauren Weber. Christina Worden. Noah Wiedenfeld. Quintavious Williams. Danielle Winner. Man Shu. Zhu Zhang. Latian Zhang. Weiyu Zhu. Jia Hao.
Thank you, Laura. And now I want to introduce to you Professor Anu Ramaswamy, who will offer our STEP degrees.
So these are the candidates for the Master of Science in Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy. Erin Cowles. Nicole Kessler. Kathleen Matter. Lene Nelson. Thomas Prebitt. Matthew Prorock. Shashan Rodrigo. Saurabhat Sanjeev. Charlene Sunderman. Christopher Waltz.
Now I'd like to introduce Carissa Shively Slotterbach. Professor Slotterbach will be offering our MERP degrees.
These are the candidates for the Master of Urban and Regional Planning. Alexander Boyce. Alyssa Brandt. Jenna Campbell. Nadine Chalmers. Nancy Ferber. Ashley Fell. Kelsey Fote. Paul Frank. Stephanie Hatton. Michael Healy. Phyllis Hale. Drew Ingvelson. Alyssa Chimento. David Kratz. Anthony Lau. Brian Lopez. Ika Mengi. Katrina Nygaard. Aaron Olson. Shinja Uyang. Cole Pfeiffer. Michael Paterka. John Pierce. Sarita Pillay. Mariana Poskus. Andrew Tran. Layla Tripp. Matthew Unzedig. Michael Varian.
If I may ask Regent Omari to come to the podium.
Wow. I am greatly and deeply honored to be here with you all. As I was sitting there reflecting, I thought about a couple things. One, spending time in what I used to call the dungeon of the basement at the Humphrey, spending time at Jernberg, and it turns out 5 years later, you guys are still trying to keep people from taking other people's lunches. I bring you greetings from the other members of the Board of Regents. I'm thankful to the Dean, the former Dean, staff, faculty. It's a great day for all of us, and I encourage you all, as the time winds down, you spend time today, most importantly, thanking those who have supported you, your family, your friends, your partners, your faculty, your staff, and brought you through this journey. And then tomorrow, the next day, I encourage you to do something that I have a very hard time doing, and that's disconnecting from my phone. And just reflect and give yourselves a deep, deep pat on the back, because it has been a lot of work to get here. And from my colleagues, I say thank you for that hard work. So without further ado, I'm going to follow the advice of my fraternity, which is keep the 3 B's in line. Brother, be brief. Would the graduates please rise? Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority granted to the regents, I now confer upon you the degree for which you have qualified. Congratulations.
At the risk of being wrong, I think you may now be seated. And if not, someone will correct me and you'll get back up. Congratulations on your accomplishment. You are now members of an august group of alumni throughout the community and the world. So, to welcome you into the ranks of the alumni, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the president of our Alumni Association, Emily Suna Sangren. Emily is a 2009 graduate of the Humphrey School's Master of Public Policy program with a focus on women and public policy and population studies. In addition to her time with us as a former student, Emily also served for 6 years as Director of Research at the Humphrey School's Public and Nonprofit Leadership Center. She also was a part of the President's Emerging Leaders Program at the University of Minnesota. She now works in corporate social responsibility at Target Corporation, where she's working on the development of the company's strategic efforts to simultaneously create business and social impacts. We were very disappointed when Emily left the Humphrey School, so the deal that we struck with Emily was that she could go to Target if she sustained her deep engagement in the Alumni Association, which she has done. So please join me in welcoming Emily.
Good afternoon. I do understand that I am literally the only person standing in your way of partying it up, so I will be very brief. But it is my distinct privilege on behalf of the Humphrey Alumni Society and the University of Minnesota Alumni Association to congratulate you on your momentous accomplishment. So take this moment to take a breath and really feel the significance of your accomplishment. To get to this moment, it's likely required meeting important deadlines, filing paperwork, writing papers, giving presentations, the list goes on, all in your race to the finish line and all important to getting you to today's accomplishment. But now, it's about a lifetime's journey ahead in the work you have committed yourselves to. The Jernberg Lounge, the atrium hot tubs, the windowless classrooms, they may be behind you, but a community remains. A community of alumni that you have access to at the rate of your willingness to engage. Engaging for your benefit, but also engaging for the benefit of those students who will come after you. I remember when I was a student, I was always pulled in many directions. I wasn't just a student, I was a wife, a daughter, a sister, a first-time mom. The reality of life is that you can never play just one role. And sometimes I felt disappointed that I couldn't just be a student when I was in school, to be able to take advantage of all that Humphrey had to offer. It's only now, in the years following graduation, that I've realized that I didn't have to cram in all those experiences while I was a student. I have a ticket to engage and re-engage with this school for the duration of my journey, a ticket that you all now hold. You are the Humphrey School's critical asset and key stakeholder. So wield the power and influence that comes with that role. This school and you depend on it. Now go, take your moment, relish in your accomplishment, And know that the Humphrey School and its alumni community are committed to being with you on your journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Before I congratulate you all on a job well done, I also want to thank our administrative team at the Humphrey School for all the work behind this commencement. And I also want to thank our faculty who have sit there quietly for 2 hours, but we all know that the role that each and every one of them has played in your academic development and development in so many other ways. So I want to express my deep appreciation to the sustained, serious engagement in pedagogy, commitment to teaching on the part of our faculty, and I think this is an appropriate point at which the students could also thank them. So. I certainly want to congratulate you all on a job well done. Students, family members, friends. A special thanks to all of you in the audience who have supported these men and women during their time at the Humphrey School. Now it's our turn to watch them go out and change the world. Now, before we conclude, I want to ask our graduating class of 2015 to please stand and shift a bit to the center for this year's class photo. We're trying this for the first time, so we'll see whether that can work. Wait, one more. We forgot a queer. Congratulations on a job well done, and you may be seated again. So this concludes the afternoon's program. I ask that you remain seated for the recessional, and I hope that you will all join us for a reception with refreshments on the patio behind the concert hall, and we all hope it has not blown away. But we've been in here for 2 hours, so we just don't know. Again, thank you so much for celebrating with us today, and good afternoon.